Cyberpunk 2077, the game that was supposed to change everything. Oh, and it changed things alright. Promises of life-changing graphics. Oh, how beautiful. Guarantees of brutally intense police chases. This is intense, man. I mean, guys, we're going to get incredibly immersive and unique transportation systems across Night City. Ladies and gentlemen, the AI will be the most sophisticated and advanced NPCs you've ever seen in a video game in your life. They will all have their own unique and different lives. They'll have their own handmade routines. Just make sure you don't turn away from them or they will in fact disappear once out of your line of sight. Flying cars, unlike anything you've driven in a video game before, but only in cutscenes, not actual gameplay. We are going to get to choose between 3 life paths that will entirely change the course of the first 3 minutes, and that's all. Empty promises and broken dreams. Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red could have had it all. Before this game, CD Projekt Red had the reputation of a knight in shining armor, the one truly honest game company. They had all of the time in the world to deliver on all of the promises they made and many more. They had every chance. The marketing, it was done perfectly. I've never seen a game or even a movie marketed so well in my life. They had the most promising looking game in years, and everyone was on their side. Even Keanu Reeves was in on the hype, the most beautiful and breathtaking man alive. They had everything in the palm of their hand, everything except for a completed game. After how successful and consumer-friendly The Witcher 3 was, you'd think that CD Projekt Red would have their shit together for Cyberpunk. You'd think that upon releasing the game, it'd be at least 75% finished. With how well they supported The Witcher and how great the game was, we truly expected and deserved better. Apparently, they took more time on cinematic trailers than with the actual game itself. The trailers looked to be a masterpiece, but they just contained outright lies. At least they announced to us and let us know beforehand they would be scrapping the wall running in order to meet deadlines with COVID. And yes, I'm sure COVID played a very large role in the failures upon the launch. But still, CDPR, you allegedly began development in 2011, which gives you 9 pre-COVID years to work on this. And it's still somehow released in the state of a game with 1, maybe 2 years under the hood. I mean, how could you shit the bed that hard? Release date is approaching soon. CDPR has done virtually nothing but market a game that was nowhere near launch ready, and yet they were months away from the big day, knowing full well that the game wasn't even running. It was probably blowing up consoles instead of actually running. They delayed the game a staggering 3 times, with hype building up exponentially more and more with each delay. After the 3rd time, they no longer could push it back.
Samurai, we have a city to burn.
People were too excited. The marketing had worked exactly as intended. But when you market a game that doesn't have half of what you showcase, disaster will strike. And oh boy, did it strike CDPR hard. It's December 10th, 2020. Cyberpunk has officially released. And it actually runs well on a $75,000 PC. Anything less in your console is going to spontaneously combust at just the title screen, not even during gameplay. Those state-of-the-art, industry-defining graphics actually look like peanut butter spread on some bread. I mean, the face of an actual NPC looks like peanut butter. You are stricken with random T-posing and cars flying at you. The game freezing out of nowhere. Those advanced NPCs with their own handmade routines are all the exact same, like actually identical. There was one single handmade routine given to each and every NPC in the entire city. No usable flying cars, no metro system. Every amazing promise that was given was broken. Hey, you know how when you progress through a game and you get more items and you advance further, you know how that's like what you're supposed to do in a video game? Well, guess what? When you did that, it added to the file size of your game. So what, you may ask? Well, if your game file size exceeded a certain capacity, it would become unplayable and unrecoverable. So those 6 hours you spent looting in the game and actually playing it as soon as it released, that sucks. Have fun restarting and then exceeding the file space again and having your save become unplayable again. The game was so beyond broken for most that Sony actually removed it from the PlayStation Store and started to issue refunds. Do you know how fucked your game has to be for Sony to step in and remove your game from their store? That's insane. Anyways, we all know how launch for Cyberpunk was. Everyone was devastated, distraught, hurt, and saddened. We all felt betrayed by the one that was supposed to protect us. It wasn't supposed to be this way, and it was a complete disaster. Now, I will be honest, I enjoyed the hell out of it. It ran well for me upon launch, and I had 0 expectations going into the game, but I was seemingly the only one. They didn't even tried to explain away the dumpster fire they had just released for full price. They just instantly came out with a roadmap on how they were going to fix it, but it was too late. Most were finished with it. Done. Most had thrown in the towel, but surprisingly, CDPR didn't. They've been releasing patch after patch, desperately trying to get the game into the state that it was supposed to have released in. So the question remains, what is this infamous game like now? Almost 2 years after its abysmal launch, is it finally playable? Well, first off, I would like to say that it is still pretty bad on last-gen consoles. But honestly, why did you fucks think that it wouldn't be? I always wondered that when the game came out. Why did any of you think that this state-of-the-art AAA game would work on your 8-year-old Xbox that you've dropped down the stairs 4 times and spilled orange juice on twice? Okay, yes, CD Projekt Red did market it, saying it would work on last-gen consoles. They actually said it runs surprisingly well on last gen. Their words, not mine. They purposely didn't showcase any footage on previous gen consoles before release. So that is one of the largest reasons they are in such hot water with the release of this game. They blatantly lied to us about its working abilities on last gen tech. But still, Timmy, you've dropped an anvil on your Xbox One, it's 10 years old, you accidentally jizzed on it that one time, and it struggles to run Rocket League. Why would it run Cyberpunk? Stop bitching. Anyways, to answer your burning question, is Cyberpunk good now? The answer is yes and no. If you still have last gen tech, it isn't great. Low frames, graphics that are barely passing as acceptable, and it still crashes from time to time. Is it deplorable like it was when it launched? Absolutely not. It's playable on last gen now. But if you were lucky enough to get your hands on a new gen console, or if you have a good enough PC somehow with these graphics card shortages, the game is amazing. I mean, truly wonderful. In my opinion, this is just my humble opinion. Please don't put a bounty on my head for thinking for myself. Please don't come at me in the comments. But anyways, I think the game is a masterpiece. It runs really well on my PC and Xbox Series X. Like, super well. Like, as well as they advertised that it would run. It's a phenomenal game, again, in my humble opinion. I've always enjoyed this game. Like I said before, even on day one, I loved it. I think the story is so badly underrated because of its disgraceful launch. The voice acting is on par with the movie, the writing is fantastic, the character development is incredible, and the setting is the best in any video game I've ever played. The city they've created here is better than cities in real life from an exploration standpoint. It makes me so hard playing it.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Playing through the story is some of the most fun I've had in gaming ever. It's a shame that the project was ran by a bunch of scum who only wanted money, because in the eyes of the public, this story has gone to waste. With the new 1.5 patch, they actually came out with some awesome new features that really clean things up. They added multiple apartments too, which was advertised originally and then scrapped from the game, and then they've added it back in. So that's pretty great. As I mentioned, CD Projekt Red did not throw in the towel. They were hard at work right after launch, releasing patch after patch, and surprisingly, it did start to mend the game a little bit. Slowly but surely in the following months to a year after the downright horrendous launch, the game started to become complete. Should it have launched in the state that it currently is in right now? Absolutely, although it didn't. But in my opinion, the story and the flow of the game is so good that it makes up for it, and it is 100% worth checking out now. The game has not crashed on me since the Vietnam War, and the frames are more consistent than an uncontested 3-point shot attempt from Steph Curry. Is it perfect? Absolutely not, you idiot. But is it finally in the state that it should have been upon release? I can confidently say yes to that. Now the question is, where does this leave us moving forward with AAA titles? We've completely lost all trust in game devs. The most consumer-friendly game company of all time just shafted us with Cyberpunk. So what now? Just this weekend, Bethesda and Todd Howard showcased their new upcoming game, Starfield. It looks absolutely incredible. But while watching the showcase the entire time, I had to tell myself that this wasn't even close to what the game will actually be like. There is so much damn potential, and it 100% will be wasted, especially coming from the people that gave us Fallout 76. Oof. Moving forward, we no longer can trust game developers. It's sad, but true. We've been lied to on a grand scale numerous times, and I think that Cyberpunk was the last straw. We can't trust any company anymore. We now have to wait weeks or even months after a title releases to buy it so that it's actually finished. No more pre-ordering, it's a waste of money. You can either pre-order a game at full price and not even get a half-finished product, or you can buy it completely finished when it's half price 3 months later. How are these companies even getting away with this? Aren't there literal laws that prohibit false advertising? Because that's quite literally what all of this is. It's a whole lot of false advertising. Maybe we should band together and sue. We could probably win at least something. Who's down to sue Todd Howard? Anyways, we've seen this movie one too many times. Unfortunately, Cyberpunk was the worst of it just because it came from such a trusted source. But in all honesty, Cyberpunk is still fun. It's a wonderful game with great gameplay and a fascinating story. Are there things they promised during their shady marketing schemes that aren't even in the game? Yes, but that doesn't mean that the game isn't still great and absolutely worth checking out, at least in my opinion. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I love you all.